Hey guys, so this is part 2 of the life of a CNA, and this one's just going to be about like all the fun stuff I've done, all the funny stories, all the crazy stories. Like this is just like a big huge story time about why I love / hate my job. Okay, so the first story I'm going to talk about happened literally last night when I was at work. So when people press our call lights, we have to answer it like by law and morally, and we try to answer them as soon as possible because if it's an emergency we need to get there, if they're on the floor we need to get there, if it's a call light we need to get there, like we just need to get there. So I go into this lady's room, I knocked obviously, and I was like, hello, it's Cole, can I come in? And she said yeah, and so I went in and everything was fine. She's like, oh, I accidentally hit my button, and she had someone in there who worked at our facility but like wasn't on the clock, he was just visiting with her. And I was like, oh, okay, well, call us if you need anything. So I leave, and this was like right after supper, and then about 2 hours later she gets her call light again, and one of my coworkers goes in, she's like, oh, what can I do for you? And she goes, oh, will you bring the blonde kid in to talk to me or whatever? And she goes, oh, okay. So I go in there, and she was a super nice lady. I didn't know what she was going to say, and she got really mad at me because I answered her call light when she had a visitor. And I was like, we have to answer a call light if there's a visitor. And she's like, but I had a visitor. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but if you hit your call light, I have to come in. And she's like, that's fine, don't take any responsibility. You did nothing wrong, didn't you? And I was like, well, I'm sorry. Next time you get your call light, we'll come in and get it again. And she didn't like that either. And I was like, okay, well, you have a good night. And she's like, yep, don't take any responsibility. And I was like, oh, okay, love my life. And so that was last night. And then now we'll just like, I won't tell you like where it was or whatever. I'll just like be telling stories about stuff. Okay, so our second story, I was, I think it was during supper time. And we usually serve supper at like 5:30. Sometimes we get to serve earlier. But our set time for like everything is 5:30. And everyone knows it, all the families, everyone. So we're like in the middle of serving, because we serve like the dining room full of people first, and then we do room trays. So we're like serving the dining room, and we're like getting all these trays out, and everything's being super great. And then all of a sudden this lady, I turn around and she's like, you over there, get over here. And so I walked over and I was like, hi ma'am, what can I do for you? And she's like, well, I was just wondering when my mother would get her food because she's very hungry. I was like, well, it's 5:15, we're serving early, and so she'll have it probably by 5:30 when we're done serving the dining room and we get trays passed. And she's like, well, she's hungry, so. And she literally snapped, and I was like, you want to keep that hand? I was like, oh, okay, thanks. And so I go back and I told my coworkers, I was like, hey, so when we do the first room tray, she has to be first, or else I'm pretty sure we're all going to get yelled at again. Like, not just me this time, but like everybody. And, okay, and then this other time, I was wiping this guy's butt, and he goes, oh, I'm in a shit. And I was like, okay. And so I put him back down on the toilet, and he started screaming at his poop to not come out. He was like, don't come out of there, you stay there, screaming into the like toilet and down at him. And then he's like, don't leave me, come back up, we don't have to do this. Yeah. And then he just started screaming, like literally just screaming like, ah. So I closed the bathroom door, and I told him, I said, okay, I'll be back when you're done. And he just kept screaming about his poop. Yeah. And then I had this other guy who I laid down in bed, and his lights happened to be on still because I wasn't going to be falling over like tables or trash cans or my own feet or the air or like a bug because I fall over everything. I literally just fall all the time. I'm not going to be a good person when I'm old. I'm just going to be broken hips everywhere. So I lay him down and he's like, oh my God, it's too bright. And so I shut the lights off and he's like, oh God damn, it's too dark. And I was like, well, I can't win with you, can I? And I said, well, what would you like the lights? And he goes, on. On. He wants them on. So I turned them on. Guess what? He wanted them off. So I got screamed at by him for wanting them off. So, made my night. He's the light of my life. Then I had a wife for a while. Yeah, she liked me. She would follow me around, try to touch my butt, which I don't really have a butt. For those of you who've like seen it or like in my sloth video, I don't have a butt. There's nothing there, but she'd still always try to grab it. And she would always call me her husband. And then I told her once that I had a wife, and she laughed in my face. So I think she knew. And one time I told her, I was like, yep, we can't be married. And she's like, why? And I was like, well, because I have a boyfriend. And she goes, we should go out with our men. And I was like, oh, sweet. Yeah, so we were going to double date. Never happened. And I didn't have a boyfriend. I'm still single. Have been. But she was great. She always followed me around. I loved her. She was funny. She always walked with me and gave hugs. I just love her. She was like this tall. If even. I love her. Let's talk about some scary stories. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I have some really scary stories because like everyone knows nursing homes and like hospitals and everything is haunted. And like if you're a skeptic, that's fine, but listen to this shit. Okay, so we have cameras in the hallway that like they like pan through so like you get to see them, and I think they switch every like 10-15 seconds. Okay. So I am sitting at the nurse's station charting because it was like a really slow night, and I'm like like charting, and I turn and look at the monitor that's across the hall, and oh my God, okay, there's this, I'm not even kidding, little girl like peeking out from this doorway, and I'm like, I really hope that's a resident on the floor and I'm not seeing a ghost. And so I went down there and she was in bed sleeping. And this was like 9:30 at night, no family members, no guests, no children, nothing. Pretty sure I saw a ghost. And then that same area or floor, so like same thing, I was watching the cameras, and at the time we had this back dining room that we put all of like our easy stands, our Hoyers, it had some tables and chairs, and it was never used, but that's where we stored our stuff. So we took it and everything was lined up perfect because safety code or whatever. Not my job. And I'm sitting, and there was 5 other people there, so like they know I'm not BSing on this because it was scary and awful. So I'm watching the camera fly through just because I was bored, and like if I don't know if you guys know what an easy stand is, but it's like a machine that's got like arms that stick out like this that the residents hold on to, and it lifts them up, and it's got this sling that hooks into them so they can like stand. Well, it looked like someone was like using the sling to like play on the arm like this, and I was like, oh, I hope someone fell. Like, I hope it's not a ghost. So we all took about like 5 minutes to go see if there was a resident on the floor, because we were pretty sure that everyone was in bed because none of them walked, and the ones that did slept the whole day and night. So we make it down there, and all of the Hoyers and slings were in a triangle, pulled out into this dining room, and I was like, oh my God, we're gonna die here. And so I was like, oh, okay, thinking about quitting. Didn't still, yeah. I mean, obviously later I did, but like not because of that. Well, and so that was like a super scary thing. And sometimes we hear children laughing, and it's like extra scary. Because I don't like kids anyway. Like, I like kids, I'm like, oh, okay, let's like him. But I don't like kids. Like, if I had kids, I would probably get rid of them. Like, sell them. Like, sell a kid. Yeah. Because if they're anything like me, I can't do it. I don't know how my parents did it. I don't know how anyone did it. I was awful. Still am. No, so that's it for today. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe, share with your friends, and I will see you guys tomorrow.